guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Same Kitchen. My name is Sam Lin. I'm just a home cook who's really passionate about sustainability and, more importantly, save money by making things at home, and hopefully I can help you guys do the same in your own kitchen as well. Whenever I get to eat out, one of my favorite things to try is the complimentary stuff. Not just because they're free, but it's also the restaurant owner or the shop owner's opportunity to really show what they're passionate about and how much they care about the food that they send out. That can be any of the dipping sauces, any of the chili, or any of the pickles, right? Whenever I get to go to Japanese, two things that are really common but at the same time are one of my favorites. They are pickled ginger, the pinkish, punchy, spicy ones, and the other one is pickled daikon. These are absolutely amazing, so vibrant and also just so refreshing. So about 3-4 weeks ago, I was out shopping and I saw about this size kind of daikon. For you guys who don't know what daikons are, they are like some Asian kind of radish. I'll put a picture up here so you can see what they are. It was like 2.5 kilos for $1.50, and that was a absolute steal. And I was like, I gotta get it and make something out of it. Hence this week's recipe. Pickled daikons are so refreshing. It's a perfect companion with any rice dishes that you have. Something heavier go along with the rice really well, and then just chuck some daikon on it. It's refreshing and it just keeps you going. Mouthful after mouthful. It's so good. Obviously, being pickles, they last forever, and this is a really good way to preserve your food and then just have it go a lot further than just being fresh, right? Fresh veggies are great, but if there are ways that you can preserve them and have them go a little bit longer, it becomes our way to essentially be more sustainable. Before we get into the recipe, if you can spend 1 second and just smash the like button down below, I would really appreciate it. That helps promote my video to a wider audience, and at the same time to be able to convey more of the sustainability ideas and then also being frugal to more people and help our world just to be a little bit better than how it is right now. And enough of my talking, and let's get cooking.
To make pickled daikon, the ingredients needed is super straightforward. There are a few common daikon varieties out there. The one I got here is a Japanese minowase, but any of the meaty, fat ones will work just fine. To pickle our daikon, we'll need some white vinegar, some sugar, some salt. To give it a bright, vibrant yellow color, we're using some turmeric powder here. Some recipes call for yellow food dye. If you really have to, go for it. Or you can completely skip the turmeric or food dye part. The pickles will come out just as delicious. That's all of the ingredients we need. We'll put them aside and get started. To start the process off, we want to prep our daikon. The ones I've got here has got some dirt on it. To keep things simple, I'm just going to peel the skin off. As per usual, I've got our compost box here ready. Always compost our food waste where you can, so we can reduce our landfill waste. Nothing fancy here in terms of peeling off the skin. Grab a peeler and just go to town. Daikon skin is a little bit tougher than the flesh, so for consistency, I do recommend you getting it all off. We'll put the peeled skin in compost and move to cutting up our daikon. To cut up our daikon, first thing first, we'll be getting rid of the daikon heads. Depending on the size of the daikon, we want to cut it to where it's roughly the size of a coin that, when you eat it, it'll be packed full of flavor but not overpower your food. For the ones I've got here, I just cut it in half diagonally. Once cut in half the long side, cut it into 2mm slices. I personally like a little bit of a bite in my pickles, so giving it some good thickness is the way to go. Grab a bowl to catch all of the cut up pieces, and we'll continue to cut the rest of the daikon up. Once all done, we can put the knife and cutting board away. Now, got our bowl of daikon. To kick off the pickling process, we want to be salting our daikon to draw some moisture out. This way, we can empty out the cells a bit for it to soak up the additional flavor that we put in. For the 2 daikons, they weighed about 400 grams each. I'm adding 3 pinches or 15 to 20 grams of salt in. Once the salt's in, give it a toss to mix the salt through. Don't forget to chuck some on the floor for extra flavour. Put it aside for at least an hour and you'll see some moisture come out from the daikon. Next thing to do is give the daikon a rinse to get rid of the salt. Now we got our daikon all washed up, it's time to find a good looking jar and put them in. For pickling purposes, glass jars are your best bet. The acidity in vinegar don't play so well with metal or plastic. These glass jars from Kmart are like $3 to $5 and I've had them for years. They do an alright job. Next, we'll be moving on to our pickling solution. Yup, you guessed it. We'll be weighing out our ingredients with a scale and by grams. The jar I'm using is like 700 ml. With daikon in there, I'm aiming for about 500 ml of a pickling solution. Equal parts of vinegar and water, or do 200 grams of vinegar and 200 grams of water. On top of that, 10% of the sugar to all of the liquid, which is about 40 grams. Next thing is to bring the solution to the stove to dissolve the sugar. It should only take about 5 minutes for the sugar to fully dissolve and bring it up to a simmer. Once the sugar crystal all disappear, we can bring it back to our jar and pour it into our daikon. To add a little bit of color, I'm adding about 1 gram of turmeric. Give it a good stir. Put the lid on for some shaky business to make sure that everything is mixed through thoroughly. To make sure the daikon is fully submerged, I put a lid into the jar to make sure all is pushed down. A sauce dish is normally a pretty good size for this as well. Next, make sure you label your food and date it so you know when it was made. Put it in the cupboard for about 2 weeks and it's all good to go. After 2 weeks is up, I cooked up some teriyaki rice dish to go with the daikon. First, I cut up some onion and turn them into small dices. Crushed and minced some garlic and chili. Into the pan, some neutral tasting oil. Onion and garlic in. Some of the vegan meatball I made out of the soy pulp or okara. Into the pan, I added some soy sauce, some water, and some sugar. Crack an egg. Chili in with our vegan mince. Into the bowl, we got some rice. And dish everything up. Last but not least, our pickled daikon. The cost breakdown is as below. 800 grams of daikon at 66 cents per kilo equals to 53 cents. 200 grams of vinegar at 6 cents per kilo equals to 12 cents. 40 grams of sugar at $1 a kilo equals to 4 cents. 15 grams of salt at 10 cents per 100 grams equals to 1.5 cents. 1 gram of turmeric at $1 per 100 grams equals to 1 cent. Altogether, 800 grams of pickled daikon costed us 70.6 cents to make.
Alright, and there we have it. After about 2 weeks time, our pickled daikon is finally ready. Pickling veggies is literally one of the best ways to preserve your vegetables and then also add a lot of additional flavor to it. Pickled daikon is super refreshing, it's crunchy, it's acidic, it's a really good companion when you have some Asian rice dishes rather than just using normal veggies that you properly stir fry. Adding some pickled vegetable really gives it that extra kick and extra punch, and I'm going to dig in. The teriyaki style onion alongside with the richness of the egg, and then our okara being a little bit spicy, and then we just got our pickles to really complete the dish. Every time I have a bite of the pickled daikon, just cleanses my palate and makes me want to dive in again and then have another bite after another bite after another bite. It's truly incredible and it's so easy to make. I really encourage you guys to do this at home. If you are still watching at this point, I really do appreciate your support. I put out a new recipe on a weekly basis. Make sure you like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. And I'm going to go back to my lunch and I'll see you in the next video.